Y'all already know what it is. Your boy Yaakov, what it do? The outlet to reality, the holders podcast in Vegas and Chicago. What up? This is the place where you want to hide from your drama, be hide from your baby mama. Just kidding. Y si tú quieres cambiar tu vida, if you want to change your life, then subscribe. Ching. And by the way, guys, I just released my first book called Shabbat in Chicago out on Amazon. It's about an audacious single mom who opens her heart and home to 5 adopted kids while embracing her Latino culture while being Jewish. And guys, today we have a very, very special guest. I had to bring him on. Give it up for the one and only Jeremy. What's up, brother?
Yeah, let's go. The best introduction ever. Come on now.
Thank you, brother.
I love it. No, for real. Thank you for having me on.
Awesome. So look, brother, I want to share how we met. So basically we went out, a bunch of my friends came through, and I met you for the first time through Jasmine. And she introduced us, and we had a good time. We had a few drinks, got to dance, got to network. And honestly, you were like, you look good that day, brother. You got the whole suit. I was like, damn, my boy, he's feeling the part. You know what I'm saying?
Devil. Lucifer's got to look good for Halloween. That's his holiday. No, I was kidding. No, but thank you.
Yeah, brother. So I'm happy you came. You had a good vibe. And I seen you went out a few more times after that. You went out for Halloween parties.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Oh man, but brother, please tell us, like, what was your first impression when we first met?
Well, I'm born and raised out here, so I'm 43. I've been around, like you said, I've watched Vegas grow, and all these, hotels, clubs, lounges, restaurants open, some close, but go up. Everything's been, growing and growing the last, 20, 30 years plus. And when I go out, usually, it's a combination mix of, I don't know what I'm going to get with people, but Jasmine is a good friend of mine, and we connected immediately, and we met through Instagram, through social media. She came to one of my speaking events a few years, 2 years ago. She came, I didn't know who she was, we'd take pictures together, and she would leave. And then about 6 months ago, we started, doing some business together, and all's well that ends well. And so she invited me out, and I was like, she never really goes out. So I was like, I gotta check this out. And Kasi Beach House is always a great time. And I met you, and I met, I forgot your friend's name, but you guys are great guys, and we had a good time together. There's no like awkwardness. It was just about like enjoying our lives. And that's the kind of people I want to hang around. And so, it was a great experience, and looking to much more in the future.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. I'm happy to hear that, man. And please do tell, like, for the fans and all of us, we want to know, like, tell us a little bit about your background. If you were born and raised in Vegas, and your journey into being a realtor.
Try and make it as short and sweet as possible, but it's a lot. So I am born and raised out here. Again, I'm 43 years old, and my real estate journey started when I was 8 years old, because my father and grandfather and cousins and uncles were the largest home builders in Las Vegas in Nevada for 30 years. Lewis Homes. My last name is Jeremy, Lewis. So they brought me in immediately. Like 8 years old, I started digging foundations, and then went to concrete, framing, stucco, plumbing, electrical, HVAC. I worked on over 1,000 home sites from the age of 8 to 20 years old, and going back to 12, they wanted to see if I could pass the general contractor's exam at 12 years old, and I did. So there's nothing about a house, a single family residence, that anyone really in the real estate industry knows better than me. Thank my parents and that experience. And so 20 years old, though, fast forward, they had sold the company to KB Homes, if you're familiar with the home builder. And I was like, fuck, I got to start all over. I was ready to slide in. I already put 12 years in with the company and knew everything in and out. And I really had to rethink everything and go from there. And so a few years later, about 3 years later, I graduated from college at UNLV, my bachelor's in history. And I decided to take all the knowledge and experience and put that in the real estate game and get my real estate license and build my own empire.
Whoa.
And so that's how I got in the game. That was almost 20 years ago.
Whoa. And I love that how you learn a lot, growing up from your parents, your family
Yeah.
members. It's amazing, man. Like you've seen things how it evolved, right? Things are always changing. And how do you feel now with like where everything's going up? Vegas, the prices are going up like crazy, brother. Do you
They
feel
are.
like it's affecting real estate in a positive way, or it's kind of like hurting it?
Well, when cities grow and the economies grow, prices have to go up. And that means things are going well in general. Obviously, there's pockets where it's, not going to benefit some, but overall, the last, again, 20, 25 years has been, there's been ups and downs. Obviously, when the market crashed, my, my real estate story, I made millions at 24 23 when I first got in the game. The first year I made over $1 million and made over $1 million every year until, if you were around back then, some people weren't or just heard about it, or their kids, the market crashed in 2008. And so Vegas had the worst unemployment rate in the country for 5 years. And we had the worst foreclosure rate in the country for 5 years. So it was a bloody nightmare. And so it was the great times. There's terrible times, and whoever makes it through that, I honestly didn't make it. I couldn't sustain it in the real estate game. I went to my mother, a true story. She was one of the first women to have her own law firm in town, Karen Green Lewis. And so I went to her, I said, I need a job because I lost everything. I had 13 houses and 6 cars, 2 Ferraris. I lost everything. I kept one house. I moved in my now ex-wife and 3 other roommates so I could afford it. Kept one house. My father had to lease me a car. I lost all my cars. I was bankrupt. And I asked my mother for a job for $398 a week, and I was making over $3,000 a day prior to that. And she said, no, fuck your job. You go back to bartending. She knew I couldn't go back to bartending because the economy crashed. She's like, if you go to law school, I'll pay for it. But that's the only way I'm giving you a job. And you can come work for me and you can litigate for me. I said, I had no choice. She knew I had no choice. And so that's what I did. And so it took me that long to really recover psychologically, if we're being honest, because at that point I had lost everything. The market had crashed. It was the worst this country's seen in 75, 80 years. And I couldn't really sell, to be honest with you. I talk about it in my video vlog. I couldn't sell a bar of gold to a fucking homeless person at that point. I was that just gone, devastated, and just out of mind. I couldn't function. And so I hid out in school, and after 4 years, I graduated, and I was like, what can I do? What can I do that no one can take, that no one can take away from me again? I didn't like law. I got back in the real estate game, but I still litigated for my mother because that's where my talents lied, running my mouth. So I still did that, but that was invaluable experience. So I litigated over 3,800 cases the last 13 years. And that's given me huge advantages elsewhere in my business and in my life. And so people don't know that background about me. But I had to rebuild everything. And so rebuild everything from scratch. And I was lost, man. I was out of school, back in the game. Like I was getting by barely. But I wandered like Moses in the desert for like 3 years. I was like, what can I do that no one can take away from me? I don't want to go bankrupt again. I don't want to go these ups and downs. And I don't want to live like this in my personal life anymore. To the truth be told, like I said, I had like a good 9 years where I wasn't an alcoholic, but I was a drunk. I drank every day, and I took Valium or Xanax at night to sleep because it was kind of the root of everything, and I didn't want to deal with it for all those years. And finally, I did. And in 2015, I quit drinking. I stopped taking all the pills, and my head cleared. And you see what you see now, but it took about 8 months for that to happen. I got back in the gym. I was, college athlete when I was in college, and so I was all out of shape. I got my body right and my mind became clear. And then a few months after that, early 2016, I was like, I just did an open house at one of my listings. It was a $1.2 million listing. And I was like, out of nowhere, my girlfriend wasn't available at the time. And so I called my mom, who lived in the neighborhood, nice neighborhood, McDonald Highlands, and she come over to video me because she lived down the street. And I did this first realtor in the country to do a, one take, unedited property walkthrough video where I'm speaking like this in the foreground and the real estate's in the background. And I didn't know why I did it. I just did it, to be honest with you. It sucked. But I was like, oh my God, no one can take me away from me. I was like, well, I'm going to step out finally and bet on me for the first time in my life. And if it really doesn't work out, even though I have these titans, my father built out the city and my mother's genius lawyer, ballsy, like I said, one of the pioneers of the industry as well. If I don't live up to that, which I made up in my own fucking head, it's okay. I'm still a man. And the rest is history. And I've been on HGTV and $1 Million Listing, Los Angeles, and all kinds of, huge things have happened, all because of social media. But really, when it comes down to it, because I bet on myself and really tried and believed myself. And when I failed, it didn't mean that I was shit, that I was nothing. And and that's how I looked at myself before that. In my life for 35 years. And so that 7.5 years been journey has really been like the start of my life. We started becoming a man, if you want to say it like how I think of it. So sorry, I know I talk a lot.
No, that's good. It's good, but I really I enjoy the authenticity, the authentic conversation we're having, because it's for us as men, right? We like to figure out things on our own. We go through this phase, right? And
Right.
I could relate to you when the pandemic happened in Vegas. And I tell people all the time, like, it was the hardest time for me. I lost my job. I didn't have no money coming in my pocket. It was just a very tough spot. And I'm with you. I feel like our biggest critic is ourselves. We hear that all the time. And the reason why is because you have thoughts in your head like, you're not good enough, can't do it, just give up. And we let that sometimes sink in, but it's up to us to think and not to let that control us. Because that's the thing I tell people. Like, I have friends that, they got in a long-term relationship, and they're like depressed, they're sad, they can't stop thinking about her. And I said, I already know what's going on. The moment you get home, you're just thinking like, dang, I should have done this. Why we're not together? I keep yourself busy. The moment you go home that's when you think of what happened or what if. You gotta keep yourself busy. Go to the gym, hang out with a friend, do something where you're passionate about, so you can just keep moving forward. Because the moment you just go home and sleep, you're just gonna be thinking the past. And I try to tell them, like, I'm a little tough on them. I'm like, look, you just gotta, I always tell people this, and I always recommend, before you settle down, I highly recommend to live on your own for a couple of years. The reason why, because you get to know yourself. You learn how to be independent. You know what I'm saying? And because a lot of people are scared to be on their own. This is their biggest fear.
That's one of the main reasons why I got married so young at 25. I was married 25 to 32. Great girl, but we had no business like being married. Being that we were just too young and we didn't. And so it's resonating what you're saying.
And I'm glad you were able to come out of that, right? You learned something that, and these experiences has formed you to a better person now. Like, if you never went through that, you want to be the Jeremy I know today. The cool, happy, let's go, let's go have a good time. And I feel like that's the beauty about life. We're gonna have those hard times, but it's gonna make us stronger. And now you know what not to do. You know what I'm saying? But I want to pick at your brain a little bit. So I
Yep.
actually bumped into one of my friends. She's cool people. Her name is Jaylyn. She said she knows you, and I was shocked. Hispanic, Latina, very beautiful, by the way. She was telling me how she knew
Tell
you.
me
I
more.
said,
Tell me more.
yeah. I was like, yo, this is a small world. So she came to visit me, and we were chopping it up for a little bit. And she's like, I know Jeremy. I said, no way. And she's like, yeah, yeah, he cool people. I said, how do you know Jeremy? And I was
Right.
shocked.
Tell me. She tell you. I don't even know.
Right, right. And I said, I just met Jeremy. You know what I'm saying? I just met. It's
Who knew
crazy,
Vegas?
brother.
Little Vegas is the biggest small town in the country.
Right, right. So I was gonna pick at you because I was like, man,
Yeah.
brother, do you know what girl I'm talking about?
What's her last name?
Her
You
last name,
say Jay.
Jalen. Yeah, she's mixed. She's Puerto Rican, and I think she's Cuban, or I can't get
Yeah, I know
the.
you're talking. Not in the real estate game, right?
She's not. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
no, I know you're talking about. We met through a mutual friend, my friend Ben, who's actually a big real estate investor. But we were friends, been friends for years, and she was at I think his birthday party either last year or sometime. We known each other for a second, just running into there. But yeah, that's how we know each other. And I like to run in circles, that represents me. I don't go and drag other people's dead weight anymore. It's not good for them, is the same as not good for me. And so Ben, he's a great guy. He's a mentor of mine, a little bit older and hugely successful, big real estate investor. And yeah, I think we met at his $18 million house that he just built, with about a year ago. Yeah, it's insane. And yeah, we became friends. So it's a small town, but social media allowed us to stay in touch and to keep in, like you said, following each other and knowing what's going on in each other's life beside that one meeting. And so that's why how I leverage it. We can only meet and impact so many people in person, but we can 100x to 1,000x that if we use social media in a good way. And so all these great opportunities for amazing friendships and other things and blessings in my life have come from Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and whatever you want to say. And so, and people can, it's the point is people can make something however they want to, look at something the way they want to look at it. I hated fucking Facebook and all this shit back in 2013. I thought it was a high school popularity contest and people would never even believe me. Now, if they see me, they're like, oh my God, this guy social media, king of Vegas. I've been called, and I appreciate, I'm flattered when people say that. But that's the turnaround. I changed how I saw things, how I saw myself. First is the most important. How I saw myself and became self-aware of what the fuck I was doing, and what I was saying, and how I was acting, and then looked at about everyone around me instead of just reacting to everything. And then because I was always butthurt because I was just reacting to everything instead of just evaluating and then creating my own fucking reality and not letting other people and other things do that. And so I use social media to work for me, and it really revolutionized everything for me. Like my mind's blown every day by the impact that I have for the good by using it. So there's always bad with everything, but you measure things. What's outweighs the other. The enemy of the perfect. The enemy of the good is the perfect. And so my mother always told me that, and people are always looking for that, chasing that dragon. The grass is always greener. Everything, it's got to be perfect. It's never going to be fucking perfect. If you listen to anything, all the words I've spoken on this podcast, it's never going to be perfect. How you see things working out, it's never going to fucking work out that way. You just got to let go. That was the hardest part for me, is to let go, because I generally have power and control, or the illusion to create outcomes, and to a certain extent I do, but at the end it's really all out of my control. When I realized that, then things got way easier and way better for me.
Wow, that's amazing, brother. Oof, I love that. I love that. You gotta let go, let go. That's strong. That's strong. And brother, I want you. I got one more question, right, before we wrap up. If you can share one of your best moments when you saw you pitch to someone that they were gonna buy your house, right? The house you were selling. Do you remember that conversation? How you hooked them into getting it? Do you remember like your words? Because I know you're a
Well,
smart guy. You see, you see.
thank you, thank you. No, there wasn't really all. I know what you're talking about, and there was a huge moment in my life where it was a national pitch that I made. In 2018, I launched my Facebook business page, and back then you could have a targeted audience as much way different than it is today. And I decided to put up $1,000. It's a lot of money, and I did because no one I'd never done any of this before. It was all new to me. And $1,000, and I ran ads in $200 ad in Vegas, I ran a $200 ad in Orange County, 200 in Los Angeles, 200 in San Jose, and 200 in San Francisco. And so I did a video at a house, and it was called the Good Morning California video. I said, "Good morning, California. Are you sick of paying this 15%, state income tax? Are you sick of the property taxes? Blah, blah, blah." And I was like, guess what? None of that shit exists here in Vegas. And you see this house? This house is $1.2 million. It's about $5 million where you live. But let's come check it out. And here's what you're going to get. And you're going to pay no taxes. Property taxes are going to be 125% of it. And let's check it out. And I went for 7 minutes. It was a huge fucking house, one take, unedited. And I posted it and ran ads on it. And I got 135,000 views. And I got like 500 comments. Half the comments saying I'm on cocaine because this is how I am. The people thought, but I got all these. I had no websites. I had no like capture. I had none of that shit. I just had my cell phone. I got all kinds of texts and voicemails from realtors saying, "Oh my God, I never see anything like this. This is awesome. I love to work with you," and got referrals from that. But the main person, my best client to this day, saw the video. He's living in San Francisco. Called me and left a voicemail, and he said, "Hey, this is Jeff. I saw your infomercial, and it was pretty good. I liked it. I'm interested in that house. Call me." And I called him, and we've done about $10 million in business. And he's referred me probably another 5 to 10 as well over the years because I did that video, and I closed him.
Ooh, ooh.
And that changed my whole career, really. And it gave me that belief in myself to keep going and going and going. And only good shit happened after that.
Wow.
That's my biggest close.
Oh, brother. You got me thinking that song. I'm going back to Cali. Like, dude, that was so dope. I love the energy, and I could see it, how it's so like engaging. I do a story. So real quick.
Hey.
So I went to see one of my bosses. He actually came to see me. He's a millionaire, young, 32 or 33-year-old.
Yep.
And very successful, always looking good and always smiling. And I texted one time, like a while back. I was like, "Hey, I just published my first book." And I was like, check it out. And I was hoping he will buy it, right? So I saw him after like a couple months. And it's a big deal when I see him because I always learn something new,
Right.
And I was like, "Hey, brother, did you get my book?" He's like, "Nah, man, I've been so busy, just working, traveling, doing a lot of big moves." And I said, "Man, that's amazing." I said, "Look, I have my book, by the way. I want you to see it, the first edition." So I showed it to him, right? And I said, "I want you to feel it." And so he felt it. He said, "Wow, this book looks amazing." You know what I'm saying? He goes, "Wow." And I
What
said,
is it? I love it. I love
it. Right. He's like, "Man, I love the material. It's smooth." I said, "Look it, brother, it's smooth." I just like picture it holding it. I said, "Yeah, man, it's amazing." He's like, "The only problem is I didn't bring no cash, to buy my book." I said, "Don't worry, brother. I got PayPal, Venmo, Zelle,
it.
whatever it is. I got it." And he goes, so I'm like, there's no excuse in my head, right? He's like, "For real?" I said, "Yeah, I do any of those." And he goes, "Okay, I'll pay you right now. How much?" I said, $20. So he zells me, right? I closed the pitch, and the best part, I said, "Look, because you bought it in front of me, I'm gonna even sign it personally before I become famous." You know what I'm saying? And I signed it for him.
Help me out with this shit right now.
Right. And he signed it, and all my coworkers were shocked that our big boss, the VP of the company, bought the
Yeah.
one of the big people, he bought my book. So that's huge just to be able to do that on the spot while working. Like no one, the whole like building, they were like, yo, Yaakov David, he just sold the book to the big boss. Like, how is this possible?
Right.
And the thing is, what I've learned from sales is that you have to let them feel it, right? Make them believe in your product, which I did. At the same time, I was making it like humorous when he was like, I don't got the cash right now to pay you. I said, don't worry, brother. I got Venmo. He got nothing to say. I kind of put him in the corner, you know.
Right.
It's like boxing. You're like, bah, bah,
Yep.
right, hook,
You're not.
uppercut. And if I never brought the book, and I always say to myself, I try to sell about 3 to 5 or more in a week. I have a goal, right? It's crazy, brother. I almost feel like I'm a hustler because within 2 months, right? The book just came out. Within 2 months, I've already sold 103 books.
That's ridiculous. You are a hustler. Walks like a duck, talks like a duck.
So look, I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. This is the Outlet to Reality, the holdest podcast in Vegas and Chicago every Tuesday. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Ching. Y'all know
Let's
where to find me. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, the Outlet to Reality. My Snapchat is Take One Pass It, and my TikTok is at Yaakov28. And brother, where can my fans find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Jeremy Lewis, Vegas Realtor. That's my handle. It's a long handle. Jeremy Lewis, Vegas Realtor.